G'day everyone, how's it going? This is a bit of an exciting day, I suppose. We're about to embark on a bit of a long-term project. A project that we've been thinking about for a long time. We have finally decided to get our butts into gear and go full hog on changing our on-farm practices. So this set of videos is going to be about mostly documenting the process of a conventional farm moving towards a more regenerative system, and a little bit of fun as well, I suppose, about all the things we get up to and what it's actually like to do it. I don't really see much content online of people going through the process and figuring out what to do, when to do it, and what works for us. You sort of see the end result once everybody gets ticking along. So that's sort of where I'm going to come from today, and hopefully into the future you'll be able to see the changes on farm and see where we are now and where we're going, and I'll explain processes along the way and how it's going, and I'll show you the ugly side as well as the good side, and hopefully it's mostly not ugly, but you know, it could easily happen. It's a fickle game, farming, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, I'm pretty excited, and we'll just see how we get on. But in regards to today, we're going to feed the sheep. I've got some grain on the back in the grain cart, and we'll go around the farm and have a look at what it looks like in a bad year. We're about to head into lambing up here, and it's been very dry through winter, and we're not really expecting to see much growth unless we get some moisture about. So it's getting pretty close to breaking point for us, which is really what's prompted us into change. And really we want to, you know, adopt practices that leave us in a more resilient place regardless of the season, and give us, you know, less of a brittle structure to run from. So it's going to be a long process. It might be you know, I'm expecting it to be a 5-year process to really get things humming, but that doesn't mean we can't see results along the way. So yeah, we'll get moving and we'll have a look at everything. And today's a bit of a test to see, you know, how I go filming things and the audio and things like that. So we better just get into it and get moving. My dog's getting restless, so we'll get moving. Right, hopefully that's not too loud. I fully expect it will be. But yeah, we're going to start with the rams. Got a bit of dust from the chaff shed on the back. For the big fellas, we'll put it in a feeder and they'll get into it. But I suppose I've got some questions for myself to answer in regards to why this exists. Why am I making these videos? Well, one, I want to look back at them, see what it was like in case we make a mistake. We can have a look and, you know, we can find some answers to things that might puzzle us. And two, it'll be a bit of fun too, which is always good. But the other thing is, it's easy to lose sight of your goals and where it was and where you were. When you're working on something as big as this, and it can easily be taken for granted what you've done and what it was like, you know. Right, so I suppose we should just go over where we're at the moment, and I'll do videos on problems we have, how we got there, and why it's not working. So today, for example, I'm on the top farm, which is a fair way away from the other farm. This is the dry land farm where we run the merinos, and we've probably been on the overstocked side for a few years and just relied on feeding out, but it wasn't working. It's a lot of work to bring the grain up here, or the person up here to feed the grain out. It works out pretty expensive. It works out about $700 plus a day, and we're doing that 3 times a week at the moment. And it's not just that it's a cost, it's also, there's really only 5 of us, 4 of us really, here during the week between the 2 farms. So all the jobs that would usually happen up here, it's sort of filled up doing this instead. So the little fencing jobs or all that sort of stuff, you can sneak by while you're out and about like this today. But the critical things that you want to be doing now while we're balancing the rest of the labour on farm is not happening. So there's that cost of that as well, and also we're not making money with what we're doing. Like, it's a bit of a waste. It's motion waste, it's goods waste, it's it's not a conducive setup when the game we're in is turning sunlight into stock feed. So we're not doing that right now. Right now we're using the feed that we grew before to supplement feed the sheep we have now. So it can work in some ways, but for us up here, it's not working. I'm not against the practice or anything like that, but it's not ideal for our setup that we have now. If somebody was up here all the time, it would be a lot better. But then it's also, where's the line of how much we're going to make off that versus how much we're going to pay that person. So it's a game, and it's a matter of numbers and if it works out. But at the moment, we think it's not working out, and also it's not you don't wake up in the morning excited to run a heap of grain out to a bunch of sheep that aren't doing as well as they should be. So we're going to try and come from the other end, stockpile more feed, and manage our DSE per hectare per 100 meals a bit better, and try and get out of some sheep early if we need to save doing this. And ideally the sheep will be doing better throughout it too, and we can build a bit of a stockpile as a backup instead of feeding out like this. So ideally we can do this gradually without losing a heap of money on selling. But at the moment it's a good time to do it, so the prices aren't too bad. So we could destock a bit before my phone falls. Oh, good catch. Yeah, we could destock before it becomes too detrimental and save a bit at the other end. So on the topic of feed, I suppose it needs explaining on what we're trying to achieve. And it all stems from the idea of how deep you're farming your soil. At the moment, when we graze as hard as we do, and we're grazing it to the ground basically, mostly out of necessity at the moment, but in the past it's been to run more numbers. So what you're doing when you graze that hard, and especially if you're set stocking, is you're double grazing a plant that's growing back and causing root reduction in the plant. The idea is that the roots reflect the mass above ground. So if you've got 2 inches above ground, the roots are going down 2 inches. So as we change our practices to, graze the plant when it's more mature and get in and get out, leave a bit behind for the soil and microbes to break down, and the idea is to have the plant recover better so it can capture more sunlight to grow more for next time we get in there. So each time it'll reduce the rest time, and we'll grow more feed as a result. So it's a bit of a vicious cycle, the way we've gotten into this, where yes, we've done technically the right thing, and when it's to look after the sheep, we've fed out, but really that each time we've done that, we're reducing that part of the soil that the grass is growing down to, and in turn hurting ourselves for the next rotation. So we're trying to get into the mindset of not overgrazing, especially up here where it's all dry land. We don't have many tools other than the grazing management, and we don't have a tractor up here a lot of the time, so it's mostly just what we can do with a few hands and a ute. So yeah, we'll try and get that ticking away and get our mobs bigger and move them more often, and move them into paddocks that have a nice bit of feed on them, and move them out before they chew it out. So this is something that's easily misinterpreted as wasteful. You're not utilizing the feed that you've got, but you end up with so many problems, and weed burden is one of them. Bare ground, just that's what grows there, is the weeds. They just love it, and then you get into spraying, which is expensive, and it's hard up here, and then you're chasing your tail forever to get rid of weeds and spray out, and you're spending money on things that don't make you money. Whereas if we just manage it a little bit better with a little bit of planning, and a little bit of measurement, we can really get some good results and focus on things that will result in good growth. Even if we did have to bring the sprayer up here, we could be spraying foliar applications of fertilizer or biology instead, and those things will make us money rather than cost us money, and in turn we can not stress about the weeds that much, because we know they won't get a grip of a paddock like they could now, because there's just not as much space for them, first of all, and second of all, they'll get out-competed a lot more than currently. Now, does that mean that we're not going to have any weeds? No, obviously everybody is going to have a weed or two, but it's about you know, growing what we need to grow with a focus on the stuff we want, not the stuff we want to get rid of, and looking after the stuff that makes us money. So yeah, that's a general idea. So we'll go have a look at a paddock now and see what it shouldn't look like. So this is what we've got going at the minute. This is, don't faint, but one of our better paddocks. In a good season, you know, this paddock really holds on. So last year it probably got hit a bit hard because of that, and you know, you can see the grass isn't doing the best, and we've got a lot of bare ground. You know, the sheep poo is not breaking down, it's just sitting on top, chemically degrading, and yeah, there's not much feed at all in here, and the hungry girls are coming to get some grain. So we'd like to you know, this is coming into spring, we haven't had enough moisture. We're getting some growth about, but you know, that's going to get nipped off in no time. So this is, you know, compacted. Yeah, I can barely, it's just solid and dusty. So this paddock, when it's good, is good, but you know, when it's not good, it needs to do a bit better. So, and as you can see, there's a lot of thistles out over the other side there, but it's a part of accepting what's gone right and what's gone wrong. And yes, we can't control the rain, but you can farm for the best case scenario or the worst case scenario, and sometimes you get one, sometimes you get the other, but you know, hopefully we get a bit of moisture and some good weather and we'll hang in there. But I better give these girls their grain.